And we're back. Judd'z Budz, episode 102? Could have swore it was 101, but all right. I don't know anything. So when in doubt, just go with whatever I think is wrong, and you will be right. So there you go. As always, your host, Spokesy, joined by my good buddy, Mr. At State of Hoppy. Hoppy, how are we doing today?
We're doing pretty good. I don't know. I usually have something to complain about, but today's all right.
Well, that's not as fun. People like it when we are. Actually, I don't really know if people give a shit, but that works. It's a miserable, disgusting, heinous day in Boston in terms of weather. You could say that about 90% of the time, but my God, it is disgusting out. Walk to and from work sucked ass a lot today. So there you go. We got our complaints out.
Yeah. I'm usually in office, and of course on Wednesdays, but of course the one Wednesday that I'm not, it's like the one day in a 2-week span that it went down. I think it was like 7 when I woke up and didn't get any higher than 20. Every other day is like between 40 and 50, I think. So
yeah, it's been warm as shit here, and I don't really know. I don't like that. I want it to be cold still. I don't necessarily have Minnesota cold, obviously, so it's different, it's a different layer or a different level, I mean. But I prefer the cold. I like the cold. You can always put more on at some point. It gets weird if you so yeah, no, I can't. I fucking hate the heat. But anyways, got some stuff to talk about today. The big chunk of this episode will be dedicated to OHL draft eligibles. We'll talk top 10, mention only briefly, unlike last week, we talked a little bit more about some of the honorable mentions for the WHL guys. This week, just given the nature of the OHL this season and this crop of prospects, I'll have a whole lot less to say about most of them, actually, but that will be the meat, hopefully, of this episode. But I mean, we've got a couple of fun topics to talk about. First, we can start away from the Minnesota Wild before we narrow our focus here. Nicholas Cousins, let's start there.
Yeah, your favorite player in the NHL, no doubt. Man, he finally got served his lunch and was not a player that I expected it to come from. Although I am not like shocked once I'm told. Like, Anthony Mantha's a big fucking dude. And you could tell it was one of those things where he's just like, nope, I've had enough. And the amount of fruit baskets that guy received has to be just ungodly.
Listen. Yeah. Anthony Mantha is one. I'll be honest. He's honestly one of the more disappointing players in the NHL because he's, in terms of just like raw talent, and then you combine like everything he does well with the fact that he's like 6'2", 6'3". He might even be 6'4". I don't really know. And he's like 200 plus with those ridiculous set of hands. He's got a phenomenal shot, like the playmaking sick. He is such a disappointing player. Like, I actually thought when the Capitals acquired him, I was like, fuck my life. Like, of course the goddamn Caps got him because he has this element to his game where, like, if he gets angry, he does not oppose fighting. He likes to do it. He's a bit of a rat at times, which makes him even more fun. So I hate him because he's on the Capitals and because he like always will find the smallest Boston Bruin and like try to fight them. He always had like Chara and other guys like that to like have to deal with first. So that was always nice for me because he'd not do it, but he's always driven me nuts. But over the past few hours, he is my favorite player in the league now because this league needs more guys to not give Nick Cousins the option. He doesn't get the choice. He's lost the opportunity. He's lost that right. He's lost his.
You're taking away his right to choose.
Yeah, he's the only human being on Earth. I would like to clarify does not have the right. Let me just really hone in on that. Fuck Nick Cousins. I like to watch him get beat up. I think it should happen more often. He's a certified loser. Everyone in the league hates him. I'm pretty sure half his team also hates him. He just happens to play for the Panthers, who I guess maybe they do love that shit. But at least everyone else that's a rat on the Panthers is like either nasty or like they're a rat somewhat at the right time, if you can say that. Nick Cousins is just kind of just like a piece of shit. So fuck that guy. And shout out Anthony Mantha, my new favorite player of all time, for finally just like beating his ass. And it was just unbelievably embarrassing. Was it the same game? Was that the game? Yeah, it was. What he just like was on the ground, like and immediately sprung to action and actually jumped up to go for like a diving headlock from behind on whoever the fuck that was. Fuck. So shout out Anthony, my favorite player in the league, and I think he should be making $15 million a year.
I don't know, dude. There's definitely a conspiracy theory out there. Pete Blackburn's co-host on one of his many outlets he has, I guess, said, I don't know why we're assuming that he was playing dead. Like, why can't it be that he's like Jesus and he just like rose from the dead to come and vanquish the horrible people of the opposing team? I don't know.
Good point.
It's just pretty quick to judge. Like, did people look at Jesus and say, oh, look at him, he flopped, he's faking it?
Right. Awesome. That's a good point. That's a good point. I didn't take that into consideration. I take it all back. You know, fucking
Jesus had way more like conviction with it. Like, he waited 3 fucking days. Whereas Nick Cousins, it was like a solid 10 seconds. He's like, nah, I can't wait anymore. I got to be a rat bitch again.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, if you're not, judging him, then it's pretty heroic. I mean, it's a tale of resilience, really. Good for him, No, fuck that Cousins. I hate that guy so much. It's insane.
Yeah.
He's a loser. He'll always be a loser. He has no hope. And fuck him. So shout out Anthony Mantha for just not giving him the choice. What really would have sucked, though, is if the bad part, when there's a player like Nick Cousins really sucks is when they finally actually drop their gloves and then they end up like winning the fight. You're like, God damn it. So fortunately that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because that would have sucked so bad. I would have just been like, all right, well, I can't even do anything anymore. You like beat up Anthony. That sucks. But he didn't. Lost. So good for him. He should have just kept teeing off after. Like he should have been getting punched over the refs, everything. So whatever. Fuck Nick Cousins.
Yeah, that's fair. God, that sounded way too close to you just being from like Alabama or Mississippi there for a second.
Yeah, my bad.
How bummed are you going to be when Anthony Mantha inevitably becomes a Vegas Golden Knight at the trade deadline?
Yeah, it's gonna suck. He's good, and like that's the ideal. But like, I don't know. He is so fucking nasty. And ever since he got to Washington, it just hasn't. Those are the players that drive you nuts. Like, he's a big dude. He's got ridiculous hands. He can score. Like, he can literally, when he wants to, be one of, like, the best power forwards with insane skill in the league, and he just doesn't do it. I don't know if his give a fuck meter is just like so low, but it's just crazy because there were a couple of years in Detroit where he was like, if that team didn't suck, like he would have been looked at as one of the better players in the league. But I think the talent's obviously still there, and it's gonna suck if he goes to Vegas and then figures out like, oh, actually, you know what, I kind of do like putting up 40 goals and scoring 50, like putting up 50 assists. Kind of like being like an 80-90 point guy. This is fun. I think he's got a contract coming up too, so he might be he might want to bank some or throw some money in the bank. So he might decide to turn it on. That would suck in Vegas, but whatever. At least my boy Butch Cassidy's there. He will drive Bruce Cassidy fucking insane. He will fucking piss him off so bad. So who knows? But whatever. For now, I'm just gonna appreciate him beating up Nick Cousins. Because I think it should happen more often. So good for him.
As you should. Yeah. And real quick, I feel like you'll really enjoy this one. We got a beer here from awesome people at Barrel Theory called It's Morphin Time.
Oh, fuck yeah.
That's right. It's Morphin Time, a hazy double IPA. It is incredible. It is delicious. And got the stuff they threw out on their social. It's like literally just a bunch of like Power Rangers action figures, like trying to climb the can. It's just beautiful stuff from Timmy and the good folks at Barrel Theory. You got to give them a shout out too. Anyone that hasn't figured it out already, like wake up. They are the best beer option, period, at XL Energy Center. It is not particularly close. They have the Crowler of the Day, which literally every game I go to, first thing I do is go and grab one of those before they sell out, and then I get a nice picture of it for all of you to hopefully educate. But they also have Raindrops, which is like a flagship IPA of theirs, but they have that on tap right around section 112. It's at one of the burger stands. I don't know. But if you're drinking anything else, unless you're just like trying to coast very light and you need a light beer, totally understand. Otherwise, Barrel Theory is the only correct answer.
There you go.
And see, are you just crushing Nooners again, or what's the vibe?
Yeah, I've been on a Nooner kick lately. It's just been, I don't know.
I like them
down.
That's my backup beverage over here. So, what flavor?
Yeah. The one that this one is a pineapple. The pack, it's the game. God damn it! Hold on. I have them at my feet in case you're wondering.
Nice.
Oh no, it's just the variety. I thought this was the game day pack. It's not. It's the variety 12. We got your old watermelon, black cherry, grapefruit, pineapple, but they're all good though. Yeah. They're all good.
That's I got the Costco pack, so it's like 18 of them, but only 3 different flavors. But I got the best one here, the peach.
Yeah, the mix and match. That's all right. This isn't on the outline. I feel like we have to bring this up briefly. I love the kid. I knew the second he played in the NHL, he would do this. The first leg, Matt Rempe should probably pick his spots. He is just fighting. He has just decided, you know what? I'm going to fight every single time that I step on the ice, and I will. He's the guy that's going into the bar. Like you're going out with your buddy and he's like, I'm fighting tonight. And you're like, why are you saying that already? Why don't we just go have fun? Like, what do you want to go out to get in a fight? He's like, yeah, I know I am. I will go find the toughest guy in the bar too. And I will fight them. Like, oh, okay. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The Delorier fight was one of the best fights we've seen in a very long time. He also landed some fucking bombs on Delorier, but holy sweet baby Jesus, did Mathieu Olivier. Oh, and Olivier is about that life too. You should see some of his fucking AHL fights. Good Lord. He was put on this earth to just like eat bombs, but also just deal out some of the most insane punches I've ever seen. I tweet out the slow-mo video of that fight. He hit Rempe with like, I think about 7 punches that would have killed me. Like if I got hit with one, I'd be dead immediately. I would probably disintegrate. I think he hit him with about 7 of those in a 5-second span. And Rempe's face right now after eating all these punches, dude, I am worried. I love the kid, but it's bad. Just I would say you don't have to do it every time you step on the ice because we're at the point he has played 9 for about 18 and a half minutes. Oh no, about 19 minutes, and he's got 32 penalty minutes. Probably should have got suspended too for that hit on Bastion.
Well, and
Bastion had a rough night that night, by the way.
His face though, like straight up, Step Brothers, when he says, I need you to change your face or I'm going to change it for you. That's what happens when it gets changed for you. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's
and people don't even know too. I tweeted out another video before he got called up. He got fucking tuned up in the AHL too against Providence. I can't remember who it was on Providence, but like this kid's is just eating, I mean like bombs. And again, love the kid. Shout out Matt Rempe for just like everyone's the second he steps on the ice, everyone's like, oh God, here he goes. Who's he gonna go with? But this is like the time like, all right, like I want to, like I think we enjoy fighting in the NHL. You don't have to do it first shift he has one game where he doesn't give a fuck.
But that's what's wild to me, man. Like there's people out there that are actually like, yeah, this isn't safe. Like you can't be doing this to a kid. It's like he's not volunteering this shit. Like I'm all like, don't get me wrong. I like fights in hockey. I think it has a place. I think it should definitely be something that's either consensual or because you did something that deserves it.
Nice.
You know? But if you're out there and you want it out of the game because of CTE and like whatever, I'm not going to fight you on it. That's like cool. That's your opinion. To defend this guy who's going out and like literally begging for any fight he can get, I'm sorry, I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for the guy getting his face caved in. I don't. None. So pick a better battle on that one, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I have sympathy as far as like, man, I bet that hurts. Like that's gotta suck. But like he's also, I was very curious because Olivier is that guy too. That's like, oh, you think you're fucking tough? Like you fight me, find out if you are tough. Let's find out. They showed them in the warm-ups and it's fucking Rempe going up like, hey, we're gonna go or what? And Olivier just goes, fuck you if you want it. Which if I'm Rempe, like, oh fuck, okay, so this isn't gonna be like a he fights me and it's like, hey, good fight, bud. After, because I mean, the last punch he landed fucking flattened Rempe, and he just, you know, sometimes he'll like catch the guy and like hang on. He fucking dropped him, and then was just like mic drop. Except it was a 6'7" human being. It's like, totally. Oh shit.
But see, I wonder if that's his first fight. Do you think it goes the same way, or do you think Olivier's like, oh, you think you're tough, huh? Let's fucking go. Well, no. So here's the thing with Olivier. I think if that's Rempe's first fight, I don't think Olivier gives a fuck. He's like, all right, let's find out. So I think it goes the same way. Like, well, no matter what, it's like, you don't feel like this is his chance to be like, oh, you're running around and being a little rat shit, huh? Okay, let's have fun. Like, you don't think there's any element to that?
Olivier's just specifically because Olivier was literally just doing his thing in warm-ups and Rempe went up to him like while they were stretching. But it was, dude, the video, because Olivier is that guy, if you want to go him and you're a rookie, he's like insulted. He's like, oh yeah, I will. But what you think you can? Like, that's fucking nuts. All right,
I need you to count to 10 first. Count to 10 and then tell me if you still want to do this.
Yeah. Oh, are they playing again tonight? After that, think about it. Have they gone?
I don't know.
I forgot about that.
Gonna go on a limb no. I think lesson might have been learned.
Yeah, seriously. And actually, and this is somewhat related to Minnesota. Curtis Gabriel, if you remember him, that the COVID year when he was playing was San Jose, and he literally went after every single like heavyweight that they were playing in their division that year.
Yeah.
I think he got tuned up about 5 of the 8 times. Like, it was like a thing, whatever.
Sure.
He went the next year. He went with Olivier. That's the bloodiest fight I've ever. Olivier beat the ever living dog shit out of him. And like, oh, that was ugly. So I just, in case people want to know about Matthew Olivier, he's not opposed. He's a big fan. Him and Delorier went this year, and after they were both like, fuck yeah, buddy. Good for you. That was awesome. And I was like, they're both kind of fucked up, aren't they?
Yeah, no shit. I gotta say, though, the best fight tour ever, not because of like blood or quality of fight,
Cosgrove.
But they're
that was when he was and Vince Dunn.
This is a podcast, Z. Was it Gabriel who followed a guy and fought him on the way to the locker room in an AHL game?
I would say Gabriel didn't do much of the fighting. It was Vince Dunn. They were which is very funny because the camera did follow them as they were both skating on the tunnel. And Gabriel like walked over. There's like one thing separating them. and Gabriel went over like still talking shit. Vince Dunn just went over and fucking hit him in the face so hard. The commentator's like, "Oh, they're fighting in the tunnel! Oh my god!" Yeah, so Gabriel did get punched directly in the face as they're both getting kicked out of the game. Police are then like running into the tunnel. It's a wild video. You should check it out.
I'll have to. But
anyways,
the fight tour that I'll always be obsessed with was Minnesota State alum David Backus. 3 games in 4 nights, beats the wheels off of 3 different guys that had just been named to Team Canada, as he was also a member of Team USA. He beat the shit out of, let's see, I know it was Nash, Taves, and who was Corey Perry, which was the only one that was kind of a fight. Yeah, it was brilliant. I was obsessed.
Was it? I think he went on when it was still 31 Thoughts. That he went on their podcast, and I think it was Merrick was like, "Was that intentional?" He goes, "Yes, it absolutely was. Fuck them." It was just like, "Yep, I was fighting all of them." Because they all got and I was like, "Oh shit, he just said it." He's a beauty. Oh god damn it. All right, we can move on though. That was an unexpected detour, but shocking. Can't believe a detour happened.
A good detour though. We're okay with it. Let's talk then. So we had the Chris Chelios retirement ceremony, banner raised at United Center for the Chicago Blackhawks, which is bizarre in its own right because he's a guy that was so hated by Chicago when he left and equally hated by Detroit when he was sent there. So like he was in no man's land. But then you get the polar opposite with Patrick Kane coming back to the building for the first time, not only being applauded the whole game, but then he scores the OT winner and he gets like a full applause for beating the Blackhawks. Like, I know their fans aren't smart enough to be able to point out and be like, he's helping us get Celebrini. No, they're just like, yeah, Kaner, let's go.
Yeah, fair enough. By the way, that goal in OT, that was so fucking nasty.
The most casual, effortless fuck you.
And like, he went shelf, like hard. That was so sad. And he was never not scoring there. Like, there was 0% chance. It was insane though. Like, I get it. First game back brought you all those, like I get the love and he's going to get the big ovation, whatever. But it was so fucking weird.
Yeah.
It was like, they were hoping if he missed it, like, that's the thing. If you like missed the net or it was a save, they'd be like so disappointed. Like, that was the weirdest part. I was like, what? Like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But again, he was absolutely never not scoring there. There was no world where he was, but that move or the finish, I audibly gasped. He's he is something else. He's having a real nice time in Detroit. I think he's well over. I think he's just over a point per game, I guess now.
Is he the no shit best USA player to date? Like, is it like indisputable for you? Like, I kind of lean there. Like, I think he is the best American player, period. Knowing that there's guys that are currently playing that don't have the body of work, right?
Right.
Like, what? It's pretty much him versus Madonna, right?
Hull,
who's,
if you count him, who's Canadian.
Who's a tweener. I don't know. I count him for double because he gave them the
Canadian guy.
Like, they said, "Oh, sorry, you can't play for Team Canada this year." He's like, "Okay, I'm going to be an American."
Which is very funny. It's just like,
they regret that so much too.
well, people always like, they're Canadians are like, "Whoa, no, he's Canadian." Like, he said he wasn't.
It's on record. He said he didn't want to be.
According to him, who's a pretty good source on this, he is an American guy. I mean, it's hard to argue. I put those 3 right there, but I mean, he's got the cups, he's got heart throat, like he is, like, it's insane the shit he's done. It's hard to argue, but yeah, I guess that's
Yeah.
I just leave those three. But the way Matthews is going, it might.
Right, Matthews, I expect to do it, but I can't say today. Like, I think it's insane.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Matthews is better today, right?
Right. Yeah, 100%.
If he stays healthy and plays a full career and somehow finds a way to resurrect the Arizona Coyotes in his next contract, like lock it, done.
Yeah.
I gotta ask.
He's doing scary things. He's doing scary things this year.
I feel like
Jesus.
Chicago is the only place that you could have something like this happen. Like, there's not many fan bases that would, especially against a big rival like that. Like, tell me, not even with a rival, if Zdeno Chara came back and like got the overtime winning goal against the Bruins after he left, like, there'd be death threats, right?
I get
there definitely wouldn't be applause.
There wouldn't be a cheer. They wouldn't be like fired up, like fuck yeah, that rule. I do believe Chara scored in his return, or it was deflected. Either way, but what people not from Boston forget, or just never do, I don't know. Actually, people from here forget this. When Ray Bourque went to Colorado and won the cup, the city of Boston threw Raymond Bourque a Stanley Cup parade. So I am in a position where I don't really know if I could talk shit, because the city of Boston literally put on a cup parade for Ray Bourque when he won it in Colorado. That is like another level. Was
that to entice him to create that incredible Italian eatery that he has there?
Yeah, I'm not saying I was against it either. So I'm
just saying, I think they had ulterior motives there. I don't think it was just to, support Ray Bourque. That was also like literally a deadline move. Go win a cup because we love you. It's a little bit different than being like disgracefully discharged and you go sign with another team.
Yeah, it is crazy. Kane has always been like, I didn't plan on leaving. I'm like, oh fuck, okay. So he was, even when they sucked, he was like,
dude, he's still a puppy dog. Like, he wants to go back. People ask him about it, like, hey, like, what, like, could you go back now? He's like, I don't think they want me. ? Right. So it's
which is also like, it's also like, you're kind of an idiot if you think. I mean, I think most people probably do, but management, I guess, is what.
No, I mean, management's what matters.
Yeah.
No, the fans. I think he figured that out this past game. Like, he knows the fans want him back.
Right. Yeah. If he was wondering, if he was curious, if he wasn't sure. It was fucking, but it wasn't just like, oh, hey, it was like, like they just like, oh God, I don't know. Whatever.
Just full send. Oh, yep.
Yeah.
All right. Next topic before we talk a little wild. I had to bring this up because PWHL might be my new favorite hockey league. They literally adopted the top 2 requests that I've had for years from. Like, I begged the NHL to do this. Granted, Gary Bettman doesn't really return my calls too often, but the PWHL has instituted, first, for playoffs, they're doing the pick your opponent. High seed gets to choose who they play.
Oh.
That rocks so hard. I love it. And earlier today, and this is Wednesday that we're on the live stream for those of you that are listening on podcast, earlier today, Joe Smith and I recorded our 3rd interview for Fellowship of the Ranks with Taylor Heisey of your team Minnesota PWHLers, which she strongly advocates for Purple Rain for the team name. Can't say I argue with her. But she actually jumped on with us to talk about these rule changes. Isha, you'll probably plug that right now in the podcast. Maybe not. Maybe he's asleep. But what I don't know. Like, is that not the most fun thing you can possibly do for the playoffs?
Like, and to make it even better, you have to market the absolute shit out of it. Like, your social media teams have to be like, we pick these fucking absolute losers. Just like, where we've picked this team to sweep in the first round, we think it will be easy because they suck. I love that. So good for them for doing it. I think it just, the amount of hate it creates puck drop You know, like even in warm-ups, you're just like, you fucking assholes, you pieces of shit. So good for them for doing it. The PWHL, they're just doing everything like they're like, hey, what's the most fun way we can do this? Let's do that. Which is just like, hey, what a concept. So shout out to P-Dub.
Yep. Now the second
shout out to P-Dub.
I have lobbied for way harder, and this one is probably even less likely to occur in the NHL. Have I talked to you before, Z, about the Shane Doan draft lottery proposal?
Nope.
Oh boy, this is a fun one too. So go back to, I believe this was actually the McDavid draft. Yes, the 2015 draft. The Coyotes were kind of in the battle. Of course, Edmonton somehow lands him, but the battle was really between Arizona and Buffalo for who was going to get Connor McDavid. And there was a game where Shane Doan's son, now member or draftee of the Arizona Coyotes, was aggressively cheering as Buffalo was scoring goals in Arizona because he wanted McDavid to play there. And Shane Doan basically came out and said, this is unacceptable. I think it's disgusting that like we're in a world where fans are going to cheer for their team to lose because they want to get a better draft pick. Here's my solution. Instead of awarding the losers, the people that decide to suck to like all end, why don't we take the teams that are, you know, naturally not in the thick of things, but encourage them to still try, because you start accumulating points for wins as soon as you are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. So people argue, well, the better teams have a better chance of winning games. Yes, but let's say this year, the San Jose Sharks have 12 games to do it, and we've got the Minnesota Wild getting out with like one game to go. They get one game. I'm guessing the San Jose Sharks are going to accumulate more points over those 12 games than the Wild will over one. And obviously there's middle ground to it, right? Oh, we take a team like Arizona who's going to get 7. Who can do better? Great. That's what makes it interesting. So teams don't completely go like full fire sale. Don't aggressively tank. Don't trade a goalie because he's playing well in Michael Neuwirth, which is still the craziest thing that I've ever seen. Won 3 games in a row for Buffalo, gets shipped out immediately. Like I've never seen more blatant tanking. But I love this concept of like, yes, we're going to weight the odds in favor of the bad teams, but you still got to fucking earn it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think with that one, I think there has to be a little bit more probably nuance to make it realistic, because like the argument against that is always like the guys on the team are like, fuck you. Like they're fucking like, go fuck yourself.
Well, no, I disagree completely. The guys on the team, even if you're selling off, the players aren't kicking in the season. Like they don't want to lose. They're fighting for jobs. They want to play in the NHL. So no, I would argue that if it's like, oh, we're fighting to like get this guy in to like get the first overall pick, they're still going to try, because if you suck, guess what? You're not going to stay there and no one else is going to fucking want you.
Yeah, I guess. I'm definitely down with that format. Again, I'd still think if you're on those teams, like I still think they would still be like, all right, this is fucking like fuck off. But I like the concept of just being like, all right, we're not like tanking just does not, like we're not needing our own fans to like boo, like hope that we lose. Like I like that. So again, P-Dub actually trying things, big fan of that move. So it is wild just to think about it, like in the NHL, how that would play out. But I do, and like I just, God, I don't know. I just feel like there were players been like, all right, this is fucking bullshit. Like, fuck you guys. Like it's almost circus act. Like, fuck off. But at the same time, like, all right, well then win games. Win games, you fucking loser.
Go be a bicycle clown.
Yeah, Billy bicycle clown.
Shut up, funny guy.
Shout out to P-Dub. They're putting in it again. Like, just the fact that they're experimenting trying like fun ideas. I think obviously this is year one, and as they're building the league, they'll find out what works, what they don't like. You know what I mean? But
well, and dude, like no better example, right, than the team names. In the NHL, Gary Bettman would never unplant his flag with the teams already selected, right?
Right, yeah.
The PWHL, they like soft teased, hey, here's what the team names are going to be. People shit all over it, and they're like, all right, we heard you. We're going to punt on it for this year. Everyone's just going to be team and location, but we'll figure it out later. Like,
yeah.
I love that, though. I respect the hell out of it. Like,
oh, yeah, absolutely.
Never. He'd be like, yeah, whatever. You'll still watch.
Yeah.
I love
it. Yeah. Shout out to P-Dub. Just fucking doing right. Just doing it well.
PWHL right. Leading the way. 100%. Mm-hmm. All right. Now we've got to talk a little bit about the Minnesota Wild, and we've got to lead off with a fun topic. Apparently Matt Boldy is being ridiculed for what I personally believe was a very reasonable comment. Like, basically they went through and asked a bunch of NHLers, hey, what do you think the average shower time is for an American? And a lot of people are like guessing 5, 7, something in those ranges. And Matt Boldy comes in, he's like, well, what, the average human? Fuck, 3.5. And they're like, 3.5, what? He's like, yeah, have you seen some of the disgusting people around? Like, there's no way that they're doing a full shower. And like everyone took that as Matt Boldy saying he does a 3.5 minute shower. No, he was commenting on how disgusting the average human is and why the average time is way lower. I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, Z?
Yeah, I'm in the opposite boat of like everyone's reaction. I feel like that probably means he takes like that 40-minute fucking like I have 3 different body lotions. If you have a 3-in-1, you belong in prison. He's probably one of those guys, and he's walking around like, look at these fucking mangy mutts of human beings. These people are disgusting. I know. I bet that guy doesn't even shower at all. That means to me he's probably unbelievably clean all the time. I bet he showers 2-3 times a day, maybe. That's how I took it when he was right. Like, look at it's a very rational take, by the way. He's like, also, by the way, their motherfuckers don't do it.
Right.
I know.
Dude,
so
Twitter comprehension is like bonkers. Like everyone took it as him being like, oh yeah, like 3.5 minutes max for my shower. Now I do have to say though, for me personally, like if you're outside the 5 to 10 minute range, you're either like a serial killer or there's like 3 reasonable like responses to why you would do that. Number 1, you're literally just sitting there and doing self-reflection, sitting in the water running on you, and you might be crying a little bit.
Number 1, get help.
Yeah. Number 1, you need help, and we've all been there. Number 2, you're probably rubbing one out or doing something crazy. Good for you. Good for you. Number 3, I had a number 3. I'm trying to come up with it now. I don't know, dude. How hard is it to get in and out of the shower? Like, you wash your hair, you wash your body, you get the fuck out. Yeah. Oh, sorry. The other reason is if you tell your significant other or your wife that you're in the shower the whole time when really you just had like a 15 to 20 minute shit prior to jumping in the shower. Like, those are the 3 paths that make sense for you to be in the shower longer. You are just in a mental logjam. Z, I feel like you probably fit into that mold several times.
Not nice.
You're doing something to please yourself, or you took a big old shit and pretended you were in the shower the whole time. Like, that's the list.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'm like probably a flat 10. After that, I'm just getting bored. I'm just getting bored in there, dude. I'm just like, all right, that's enough of this. Like, I'm done. I'm done. What am I gonna do in here? Hey, but we've all been there. There's like the first category that you threw out there, like like just think about that's the classic, like one hand on the hip, one hand on the wall, like Jesus Christ.
Oh, half the time it's like sitting there, like on your ass, like knees folded up, and you're just like, God damn it, it's gonna be okay.
Well,
it's gonna be
okay.
Well,
and we mentioned or well, like, I mean, I just mentioned that it was like warm here recently, and like I like the cold, but different than Minnesota cold. My dad went to Northern Michigan in the UP, so like their winters are, I mean, it's another level. So he was like, there have been plenty of times where like you would just get, and this was back in the day, like their whole thing was just going out into like -20 weather for the entire day. And he was like, yeah, no, usually you just bring a chair into the shower until you basically thaw out. I'm like, all right, that's reasonable for a long shower. Like, yeah, I just can't feel anything below my like chin. Just thawing out here real quick. So I'll get that. But yeah, wild that the internet was like, oh, ew.
Yeah, Matt Boldy's the gross one here when really he's trying to shame the disgusting mutants out there who like literally just like step into the water, step out. They're like, so refreshed.
Yeah, no.
Now we got to talk about though, Matt Boldy. Like he, until this past game, like guy's been on an absolute tear. I believe last I counted before that game, it was an 8-game streak where he had 7 goals, 7 assists, and that streak coincided with Bill Guerin being named GM of Team USA. The tryouts were underway, and like Matt Boldy might nudge out Brock Faber for captain of Team USA.
Whoa, man, take it easy.
I know.
Yeah, he has been, even last night though, and like that game
bad. He just wasn't showing up on the score.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying there were so many plays that he made too. Even just like they had sustained offensive zone time, and like Carolina would hold them off, get them in. I think he must have had 4 or 5 takeaways just in the fucking neutral zone, like getting the puck back. And he is fucking so good at getting the puck back, but like when he enters the zone, there are so many times too where like all other guys change and he is just hanging on to the puck for such a young kid, and is like, he's a big dude, but he is like lanky, but he's fucking strong, and he's strong on his stick. It's hard to take the puck off of him. I thought he was going to score a fucking buzzer beater. That was a ridiculous play by who was at net last night for Carolina? Oh my God. They batted out of midair right as he was Was it Kachekov? I think it was.
I don't know.
I thought he was about to fucking go Tim Stutzel. I thought he was going Stutzel. I thought he was, and fucking what a play by what must have been Kachekov. But even last night, I thought he was all over the puck. And I mean, they played well last night. It's just the same bullshit when they lose. It's just like that's I kind of feel like when they're playing well, when they lose, it's just like they can't get that fucking extra goal they need, and like they make me nervous every time they have like a 1-goal lead. Like, fuck, all right, let's come back, so they better score again here.
No, that's fair. Dude, we got some bad fucking news. We've got Mateo dropping first, followed by Cole. This is bad, folks. Tanev to Dallas for a second and a prospect, which first, that's way cheaper than I expected. I don't know why Vancouver didn't step up to the plate and pay that tab. That's bonkers to me. But yeah, per Friedman, we have fucking Chris Tanev going to Dallas, which is like nightmare fuel. Like that is exactly what they needed. This team is primed to go on a run. And granted, like the Central is going to be an absolute bloodbath. The West is a bloodbath, to be honest. Like, it's weird how it shifts year to year. Like this year, the West, there's going to be 6 contenders in the West. And that is not fun for any of those teams. Fuck.
Yeah. I think I just looked at that from Friedman again. Yeah. And I was so curious to see if there would be a team that would overpay for Chris Tanev. I feel like that's
a reasonable payment.
About right. And the thing is too, there are so many times at the deadline where like a team will give up a package that you're like, is that really what that guy's worth? And it's like black and white, maybe it's more than you'd be willing to give up, but for that team, it's a different tier of like what that player's worth. You know what I mean? So
100%.
Yeah, no, that's a fucking nice pickup for Dallas. They are a problem. Shout out Logan Stankoven, by the way.
Dude, your boy.
I told everyone at the time of the draft, whoever wasn't going to be afraid of the fact that he's like 5'8", 5'9", 100 and whatever pounds, he will make you look like an unbelievably smart GM if you just like sack up and fucking take him. And Dallas gets him.
Not a shock.
Literally, that's the thing with Dallas, man.
Dallas, like that is the one draft room that I'll contend can potentially beat Judd Brackett. Like we are full Judd disciples here. Dallas is the only one that might have his number. Like they have done such a good job. It's insane. Yeah,
and I mean, like people know how nasty Wyatt Johnston is. But what people forget is they went on a limb and they took him late in the first round after he did not play a single game that year, his draft year, because it was the COVID year. He didn't play, and they still took him in the first round, and they're laughing. They are fucking laughing. So, got to shout out that scouting department. It's a smart fucking organization. And they pick up Chris Tanev. So that team just gets even more fucking deep. And they address the need without giving up a first round pick, without giving up like anything crazy. So we'll see what happens now. But
what if Ryan Suter ends up in the press box?
Yeah, I'll love it.
He'll try to. Sota fans immediately become Dallas fans if he was sitting in the press box watching the season run.
That might be a bridge too far. I don't think
the only way,
especially after last year. I don't think that'll happen. But he'll probably be like, okay, well, this franchise is moving back to Minnesota now. And they're like, oh, no, you don't have the same power and influence you had when you were in Minnesota. Fuck you. We'll go, fuck you, dude. We don't give a shit.
No, dude, if they became the North Stars again, it'd be immediate. Who are the Wild?
No, I know. Fuck.
That's all it would take, as people have shown with those ugly reverse retros. Yeah, I'm sorry. They're bad. I hate it. You can all love it. I will accept that I'm in the minority and I'm probably wrong somehow, but in my brain, it makes no sense that green and yellow are a good combo. It just doesn't work for me. But back to positive topics for the Wilder. Do we want to go? We got two more things here, Z. Do we want to start positive or negative before we go into OHL?
Let's just go to the negative before we.
Yeah, that sounds like you. That sounds like you. Denny Barlow chimes in. Looks like Duhaime may be heading to Vancouver. And subsequently, we've got our favorite granny, gun-toting granny. Do you think Duhaime is leaving? Lots of talk about it. I mean, I'll just lead by saying the amount that Michael Russo has talked about it, it's happening. Like, he's gone. Otherwise, the discussion would not be going on. And it sounds like Dewar might be in a similar boat. He is gone. I don't know where he's going to go and what the return is going to be. And depending on what the return is and where the team's at, who's going to be healthy, like, I can understand it. But Z, I got to push it over to you because you were one of the founding members of Brandon Duhaime support group. And Isha still, I don't know if that jersey's lost in the mail somewhere or it's on a boat over from China. But, I mean, talk about losing our favorite Florida man.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, like you said, the fact that Russo, like, this has been the one guy that Russo said the most about as far as, like, the deadline this year.
Well, and it picked up nowhere, too, which, like, means, like, oh, yeah, right. He's got new information. This shit's happening.
Right. Yeah. And realistically, when you look at it, I mean, I feel like, actually, over the last couple of years, people have, like, there have been like way too many for me times where people have soured on Brandon Duhaime. Like, I get really annoyed when, like, I think it was not last year, the year before, but he was just taking like just the dumbest penalties of all time. And like, so people immediately flipped on him naturally. Listen, I think when you look at just objectively where he's at as a player, he's going to be a guy that at this deadline could definitely fetch you a decent return, probably something more than like, I hate saying more than he's worth. That sounds fucking horrible, but I think someone will overpay because whether people want to admit it or not, he does have like offensive skill. He can produce certain amounts of offense. He is a worthy guy, like as far as like a defensive value as well. And you kind of run that risk of if you extend him, what is that on a team that has already given out their fair share of extensions for players that were like, I mean, really? It probably just makes sense to move on. And I think, again, like you can probably fetch more of a return than you'd expect for him because, you know, he's what, 26, 27 now? I think. I want to say that's how old he is. And again, he's got some offensive touch. He brings that playoff style just in terms of like, I will be an asshole all the time. I was hoping that the refs would let Bunting get through and let him fight Duhaime because that would not have gone well for Michael Bunting. And when I tweeted out the video of Duhaime on the bench just laughing at him on the way to the box and like blowing a kiss, basically. I was like, oh, that fucking rules. I love the guy. And they just did that player poll too with Minnesota where he was the absolute punching bag for every fucking question, where they were all like, who's the player you would least like your daughter to date? Which people, by the way, get offended by. Apparently that's like a problematic question. And everyone voted Duhaime or nobody can date my daughter. And he goes, whoa, I don't like that. I hope my girlfriend doesn't see that. I was like, so...
Yeah, she doesn't have a dad, so it's all good. The crazier thing to me, do you know who got most want to date your daughter? The son of Dean Evison.
Mm-hmm. He also got who spends the most time in the weight room, and they're like, we don't really know what he does in there, but like he's always in there, which is also very funny.
He's for sure just got his iPad in there, just crushing through Netflix.
Well, they were like, I'm pretty sure he's like stretching a lot. I think that's what they were there, which is like a very funny caveat to the question. But before we go too far down that rabbit hole, for me, I'm very sad. I will be sad when that happens because again, I do think that they do move on. They do move him, and probably the same thing with Dewar. But the reason for me in particular that will be like even more sad than usual is just the fact I remember when we first started this podcast and I was doing this by myself, one of the first questions I got was like, who is a player that you've tracked like from like just scouting as like a prospect through their draft and then seeing make it? And it was Duhaime was the first guy for me that I was like, there is a really fucking solid player in here. So it's gonna, I don't know, in terms of like this the sentiment stuff, like it'll suck to see him go, but I do think it makes sense because like
it makes sense. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, right. Quick though, before because like we're already too far from it, but I don't care because
I don't know how we do this.
It's such a good quote on the piece with Freddie Gaudreau stretching so much. Ron Swanson, Parks and Rec, getting interviewed. Do you have a history of mental illness? I have an uncle who does yoga.
Oh, just nonstop quote machine.
It's so good. But I got to ask you, because I actually have a strong opinion, and it's actually like kind of a lame opinion, I guess. But where do you want to see Duhaime go? If it's not Minnesota, obviously. Because I've got not a very clear answer. And for practical reasons, but also like kind of low hanging fruit reasons too.
Pittsburgh?
No.
No, it's not your answer.
Pittsburgh should not be adding. Pittsburgh should not be adding right now. They should be doing the opposite of adding.
Yeah.
Subtracting. Yes.
I would take him here. I'd take him in Boston, baby.
You know what? I think it would fit. I think it makes sense. My pick is Florida.
Oh God, yeah, they
in with that group so well, and just again, Florida man being returned to his natural habitat. That's fun, but like the way he plays the game and the energy he brings, like imagine putting him in a room with Matthew Tkachuk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already getting emotional just thinking about it.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. The thing with them is they just have like their bottom six is filled with those guys already. So, I'm curious to see what they do, but it would fit unbelievably well.
Yeah. All right. Last Minnesota Wild topic because we have to address this because we have a JuddzBudz graduate in the fold. That's right. John Robinson, hope you discuss the piss missile later. Best t-shirt moniker. Now, I have to say here, though, Z, Cosgrove wrote it here in the comments. I'm going to show it. I'm real bummed that he wrote it in the comments because I've been sitting on this one for like over a year. I am all about it. All I see every time I read Khusnutdinov is who's nuts, D's nuts. It straight up. Like that is his moniker. I literally already made a custom jersey. I'm not going to buy it, but a custom jersey with on the back, it's just who's nuts.
Buy it, coward. Buy it, coward.
Yeah, except I'm pretty sure Fanatics won't spell it right.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they'll still fuck that up.
I could give them the automatic and they'd be like, Kovalchuk.
Yeah, I think this is what you were looking for.
Kovalev, yes, we got it.
yeah. It happened. It finally happened. We've been waiting for it. I am very excited, very happy that he. And by the way, unlike those absolute fucking pieces of shit scumbags over at SKA St. Petersburg, fucking Putin's team, and that loser of a coach, I think it's, I forgot how to say his name, Rottenberg or whatever. Sochi could have not terminated that contract early. They could have tried their hardest to get him to stay because I believe that contract should have ended. I think it was supposed to end in April, and a lot of times those at the end of April, so basically May. A lot of times those KHL teams will even if they miss the playoffs, they will use this time to try to get those guys to stay, which, hey, fair enough. I'm not saying like, oh, fuck the KHL for doing that. Like, fair enough. Like,
right.
if
you want to keep your good players.
Totally get it. Totally, no problem. Because they missed the playoffs, and I think they kind of read the writing on the wall. Good, like, shout out to them for like terminating the contract so he could sign. And I mean, he signed like a couple hours later. So it finally happened. We knew he wanted to come over here as soon as he could. And according to Bill Guerin, we've heard this before, but he said that he will play. So we should be seeing him in the lineup at some point. I wonder if that'll come in.
His chance to prove himself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wait. What do you think driveway shooting is like in Russia?
Yeah, we don't know. We can't know. It's just, I kind of wonder if like him getting into the lineup will coincide with either Duhaime or Dewar or both leaving, because I mean when he starts he will be in that bottom six, which is fine because I think he plays the same way regardless of where he is in the lineup. And again, like I don't think he'll need a whole lot of like minor league time before he can prove himself to be NHL ready. I mean it's gonna be a big jump. It's just because he is the 5'10" on a good day, 100 and whatever pound. Like he is a slight human being, but he has played 150 games in the KHL. Last year, we saw him play at like a borderline elite level. He's an unbelievable skater. He plays a phenomenal two-way game. I think it shouldn't take a whole lot of time for him to like just adapt to the NHL game in general because it's kind of just his mold anyways. But just very excited that it's finally official because 2 years ago, we were like, okay, here we go at the end of this year. And then scumbag SKA, they did the thing where like they just benched him until they got him to sign that 2-year deal. And then they tried to bench him again at the start of this year, whatever. But
what if the NHL adopted that? Like there's a guy that's not like signing or extending, and they're just like, fine, we're just going to fucking bench you forever.
Yeah.
By the way, we got your RFA rights this summer. Have fun.
Yeah, fuck off. Yeah, where? Never heard of that. But just excited it's official. Can't wait to like see him in the lineup. He gets 22, which is Yurov's number. Yurov might have a word with somebody, even though he's not coming over here, but whatever. But either way, at least we got some good news. And I'll be very curious to see when he makes his way over here, gets in the lineup, and yeah, just nice to see it official. But shout out, who's 162 games of the KHL, 75 points. A bulk of those came last year when he was playing top 6 minutes on a very good SKA team before they decided to bench him this year. And I think there were some quotes from the Sochi coach where they were like, obviously the offense wasn't really his fault. He was kind of like shitting on his own team. He was just like, yeah, obviously it was a world of difference going from Scott to Sochi, but he was still an elite defensive forward on this team. Like by the end of his season this year, he was already the captain. He was a captain of Sochi, like within like a month and a half of him getting there. So just nice to see him sign, and can't wait to see him in the lineup. So yeah, we had some good news at least.
Fair. All right, we have to turn the page. Of course,
yeah, good thing we're starting
roughly. Yeah. All right. Thankfully, the we're gonna go into the second installment here for Spoke Z of the draft eligibles for 2024, focusing this week on the OHL. And man, a little bit thinner than the WHL.
Yeah,
that'll please Isha to hear. I think we just jump right into it here. Let's talk about your number one guy. We have a left-handed defenseman for the London Knights, 6'3", 195 pounds. And in 57 games played, he's got 17 goals, 45 assists, 62 points, is a plus 47. Dear God, with 24 PIMs. Sam Dickinson, who you've gotten the tier of being drafted anywhere between 3 and 8 overall. Tell us about Sam Dickinson.
Yep. Definitely in contention for the best overall defenseman in this draft class, in a draft class full of elite defensemen. Like you said, he's 6'3". He's going and he's 195 pounds. He's, by the time he hits the NHL, he'll probably be, over 200, whatever. But the thing with him is like he blends that size with, he is an unfucking believable skater. And the thing with him, like obviously he's over a point per game. And like the plus 47 and 62 points in 57 games, that really does get help playing with London. But here's the thing, a lot of those points do come on the power play. So the fact that he's plus 47 is unbelievably impressive. But he is like the mold of a two-way defenseman that you want. Again, like unbelievable skater, offensive upside. But I think honestly, his main, like the biggest strength he has is his defensive game. Because I think there's still more to grow with the offense. Like he's got a phenomenal shot. He pounds a fucking puck. But in terms of like the offense, like his kind of decision-making with the puck needs to get a little bit bigger or better, because he does do a lot of like kind of like the foundational work of that. Well, like he can play a good first pass. He is capable of breaking out of the zone himself, starting the offense that way. But I think sometimes he's, he'll run into trouble himself. Sometimes he has some issues with just like problem solving on the spot. Like the guys that you watch when option A isn't there, they already are thinking 3 plays ahead. Sometimes that's not necessarily there with him, but the upside is through the fucking roof with him. I'll be shocked if he actually goes later than 5 just because of how good he is. And I mean, he's in a pretty good environment right now, but like this year he started hot and just did not slow down whatsoever. Again, he's in a very good environment for like, just for his like entering the draft. This is like, he's playing on London, who is one of the best teams in the OHL. They beat the shit out of everybody pretty much. But he's run their power play. He kills penalties. He gives you a little bit of everything, but the fact that he has such a strong foundational defensive game, with the fact that he's 6'3", he can skate unbelievably well, and the offensive upside is obviously there. I think there's a top pair potential in there. I think his realistically, you can probably point him, look at like a 3. Same time, I think his floor is like a guy that's like a 4, but plays 23 minutes a night. So love Sam Dickinson. Anywhere from 3 to 8, I would not be shocked. I would actually be shocked if he goes later than 5, like I said. So yeah, first overall, or at least in terms of the OHL. And it's honestly, it's probably not, in terms of the OHL, it's not close. Like there's Sam Dickinson, and then the conversation starts for the rest of these guys.
Yeah. Number 2, you have at tier 8 to 12. So decidedly behind Sam Dickinson. Not much room for discussion. Right-handed defenseman from Saginaw Spirit, 6 feet, 180 pounds. In 55 games played,
This is unbelievable.
28 goals, 53 assists, and 81 points. Dear God. Plus 25 with 44 PIMs. We got Zane Parekh.
So what's crazy about Zane Parekh is I do have him in a tier that's just, well, it's under Sam Dickinson, but his upside is by far the highest of the OHL. This kid, what he can do offensively with the puck it's comical. I mean, last year as a rookie, as a double underager in the OHL, he still put up 20 goals. And Saginaw was like a good team, not a great team. This year they really loaded up, but he's top 10, I believe, in points this year in the OHL. He's by far the point leader on Saginaw. Friend of Hunter Haight, fun fact. But every single night it is the Zane Parekh show. In the second half of this year, he's actually taken a pretty big step defensively, where like before he was a mess. But he's kind of blended. And the fact that he's 6 foot and he's 180, I think he's probably more like 180, 190 or 185, 190. He's fucking strong. He is not afraid of like just getting in the mix. So it's not like there's a lack of physicality there. Again, so many times where these underagers are like huge point totals as defensemen, people that have never watched them before will label them as like, oh, he's all offense. He can't do shit. We'll see what his defensive game looks like. He actually has taken a pretty big step defensive this year for himself. It is still a problem, which is why he is at a tier lower, because at some point, yeah, the offensive upside is through the roof. It could be quite a limiting factor if he's just getting walked every night. But he's taken enough of a step this year that makes me more than confident that this is his tier. And like, even if you look at like public polls, even people who try so hard to rank defensive defensemen higher than they probably should be in their own rankings, he's still like a top 10 guy. Like he is, like Zane Parekh is unbelievable. Human highlight reel, runs the show for Saginaw. But the reason he is this high is that upside. Like he is so fun. His last goal was probably the best goal of his career, which was, I mean, it was a joke in overtime too. So he's a big game player. But my God, is he fun to watch. So Zane Parekh, easy number 2 in the OHL. And I would put my money's on him going anywhere from like 10 to 15, depending on how the ping pong balls bounce. But yeah, if you have an opportunity to watch Saginaw Spirit, it is the Zane Parekh show. He rules, dude. He's so fun to watch. Love Zane Parekh. Great name, by the way. All name team, easy.
I don't know about easy, but yes, he's
Zane.
Zane's solid, but like there's some really good options. In fact, I don't know. There's a couple that are on this list.
Yeah. Oh, they're
ahead. So, like,
fair enough.
Say that he's easy. I don't know. That's a stretch. Again, he's in the discussion. He will be talking.
Yeah.
But at number 3 for you, a player who would probably break Minnesota Wild jersey sale records, just given the perfect nature of his name. We've got a right wing with the Windsor Spitfires. 6'2", 198 pounds. He's a big boy. 52 games played. He's got 30 goals, 48 assists for a whopping 78 points. We got a -3 with 33 PIMs. Z's got him in the tier of being somewhere from 12 to 20, which means he's actually in the Minnesota Wild conversation. Liam Greentree.
Yeah. I bet this would be a player if he's available where the Wild are picking. I would imagine that this is a player they would be very interested in. Again, you look at the size, 6'2", right around 200 pounds. He's only going to get bigger as well. The offensive upside, again, through the roof. He's a playmaker. He can score goals himself, obviously, with 30. And he's got the track record in the OHL as well. So one of the better wings in this league. We've talked about it before. He kind of just checks every box, but you know, you look at the Wild prospect pool as well. You've got this crazy upside, big right shot winger, and he can play on either side as well. Menacing power play forward, scoring goals. And he's got some defense in his bag as well, despite the fact he's -3. Windsor's not a very good team this year. They loaded it up last couple of years for the playoffs, so they've taken a bit of a hit. So it's actually even more impressive that Liam Greentree does have 78 points in 52 games on like a very average Windsor team compared to how they've usually been. And yeah, I think his tier is easily 12 to 20. I think he will go right around the 15 range. When you look at the tools in terms of like the size, the skill, the scoring ability, just how well he skates, and the fact that he's not like a complete black hole defensively, I think that's easy, like the 15 range. So I think he should be, there's a chance he's available. I think he probably will go higher just again because of those tools. But that being said, he's a right wing, so we'll see. But I think when you look at the Wild's prospect pool, I think this would be a player they're all over, because it's like the one position where I'm like, yeah, they've got some guys that have some decent upside, but Liam Greentree, he's easy. Like his upside's top 6 scoring forward that gives you a little bit of value both ways. So love Liam Greentree. And he would look great in Minnesota. They would just have to take Greenway's sweater and just change a couple letters. You know what I mean? They could just do that. It's easy change. Easy
Even
change.
Fanatics could maybe figure it out. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot,
that's crazy.
Similar draft range, if my memory serves me right. I need you to try and be as objective as you can here. If you're the Minnesota Wild, I don't care what your draft spot is, you go up to the podium and there's only 2 options. You're either holding up the Liam Greentree card or you're holding up the Michael Brandseg Nygaard card. Who are you taking for the Minnesota Wild?
God damn it. I hate you so much for this. Oh, man. I want to say Brandseg Nygaard just because, well, mostly because I'm biased and I love him. And he's
not technically Swedish, if that helps.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'll still say Brandseg Nygaard because he could probably play in the NHL in the next 2 years with ridiculous upside. And the fact that like he isn't just good defensively, he is legitimately an elite 2-way right wing. And he's actually an even better, like his shot's even better than Greentree's. And Greentree, again, he is an elite goal scorer. But Brandseg Nygaard, like just because he's playing the Allsvenskan this year, his stats don't jump off the page. So he's basically playing in like an AHL level league, but his shot is a fucking joke. It's unbelievable. But I'll stick with my bias. I'll just recognize. I'm not even going to try to not be biased. I'll just go Brandseg Nygaard. But yeah, I think they have close. I think Greentree's upside maybe just in terms of like raw offense might be a little bit higher because he's got the playmaking element too. Even though I think Brandseg Nygaard has that, but just not as high in terms of like a ceiling. So, but I'm just gonna stick with my guy. I don't even, fuck it. I'll just stick with my bias. I don't care.
Nice.
That's my fucking guy.
If he gets drafted by the Wild, I'm buying you that jersey, and I'm not Isha. It'll actually happen.
Yeah. All right. I wonder where that jersey is. Where do you think they lost it? Okay, I wonder where.
Oh, now here's this one. Maybe seems weird to you, Z, but this next one is actually my number 1 all-name team nominee from this group.
Oh.
So, a right winger with Oshawa Generals, measuring in at 6'2", 181 pounds. And in 52 games played, he's got 21 goals, 27 assists, and 48 points. A +15 with 57 PIMs. Z's got him in the first round firmly in the tier of 20 to 32. Beckett Seneke.
Yep. He's definitely left a little bit more on the table. Like, I would still like to see a little bit more from him this year specifically, but he, again, track record's really good in the OHL. He's got some high end skill. He's a big boy. He's fucking mean. He is mean as shit. Scoring upsides there. He's gonna get bigger too. I still think he's firmly a first round pick. Despite the fact that like it's been hit or miss with him, very inconsistent this year. But I think the offense is really high too. Like he's decent enough defensively. He's big. He's mean. He's got the offensive upside. He can make plays. He's got a great shot himself, so he can score goals. So plenty there to like. It's just this year specifically, it's been a little bit hit or miss. There's some games where you don't really notice him until the end of the game where he decides to snap and like just beat the shit out of somebody. But he's also capable of making some highlight plays. So I still think he's a firm first rounder, just given like the tools with the size and everything, plus the skill to go along with it and the track record of like high production in the OHL and anywhere else he's been. So I like him a lot still, but I really would have. I thought there was gonna be a lot more this year because Oshawa, they're a good team. They didn't like load up the deadline or anything because I think they're pretty realistic, but plays a lot with Kumpalainen. So that's always gonna get you some points in my book. So like the upside there. Definitely think he's a first rounder. Big fan of him. Even though he's a little bit inconsistent, but again, like I think NHL teams are gonna fucking love him. He'll probably go right around 20 just because he's got the size, he's got the toughness, and like just his general approach to the game. Plus, you have the offensive upside. So, he's a great name, like you said. Beckett Seneke, definitely one to keep your eyes on, and one that I would not be shocked if Minnesota has high on their list as well.
In on that.
Mm-hmm.
Next one here that I'm going to tee up, and then I'm going to step away real quick because I need to grab another nooner, or I'm going to be tapping out. We've got a center. This is our first center. That's weird. Okay. The first center from the OHL on this list, coming in at number 5 for the Mississauga Steelheads, measuring in at 5'10", 165. So legal midget. In 57 games played, he's got 23 goals, 53 assists, and 76 points. He's a plus 35. That's fun. With 8 PIMs. Again, firmly in your first round, and it's a guy that's going to go to a good team in the tier of 25 to 32. We have Luke Misa.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do think that there's a good chance Luke Misa ends up in the second round, which if you're a team that doesn't have a first round pick and you only have like maybe a couple seconds or just 1 second round, whatever, I think that will bode quite well for you because Luke Misa is, by the time all is said and done, I think he's going to end up in my probably top 8 or 9 draft sons. The thing with him, the only reason that he will probably go outside of the first round, even though if it were up to me, he would not, right, is the fact that he is a center that is 5'10", 165 pounds. That is it. That is legit. It's the only rationale.
I could have answered that question.
Yeah, that's legitimately the only reason he would be going outside of the first round. Luke Misa might have, like, what he does, what he excels at is his ability to play at a higher pace, higher speed than any other player in this draft. Like, I mean, in the draft, like his processing, just in terms of reading the play, knowing exactly where the defenders are going to be, knowing where his own teammates are going to be, and then dictating the play, creating off the rush, and then manipulating the offensive zone as well, like creating passing lanes, setting himself up for goal scoring chances. And he's one of the better skaters in this draft, which also helps. But like his processing speed, how he reads the game, makes him one of the most elite centers in this draft. It's just the fact that he's 5'10", 165 pounds. I mean, the fact that he's on the Mississauga Steelheads, he's got 76 points in 57 games, he's a plus 35, is ridiculous. I think he is going to hit in the NHL just because of how smart of a player he is, the ability to play at the same pace as his brain operates. Like, there are a lot of guys whose their brain just doesn't operate the same like pace as their hands, or vice versa. That's not a concern whatsoever for Luke Misa, and he is an elite defensive forward, hence the plus 35. He is one of the, just in terms of all-around game, he's one of the best players in this draft. The only reason he's going to go probably after the first round again is the fact that he's a 5'10" center. That's it. That's the only reason. But again, as you took your headphones off as I was saying this, by the time all is said and done, he's going to easily be a top, just to be conservative here, top 8, I'll say, draft son. He's fucking unbelievable. There was actually, I saw a tweet, I think it was yesterday. I wish I could remember who it was so I could at least give them full credit, but they do like, they call themselves like unaffiliated CHL stats guy, basically. In terms of the OHL, I gotta say this right, players who contribute the most assists on their team, he's second in the OHL. Like in terms of just like points and assists, I think he contributes like 40, almost 50% of Mississauga's fucking points.
Oh, so it's like point share. I was like, oh, so he literally like checked who has the most assists. I'm like, that's
no.
Pointless.
In terms of their team, the guy that contributes the most. Yeah,
I'm gonna be the unofficial OHL goal tracker. Who provides the most goals? Oh, weird. I just pulled it from the OHL website.
yeah. Easy. Done. That's easy. But yeah, in terms like he is like he runs the show at Mississauga, who like they don't really have a whole lot of like high end guys, but I love Luke Misa. I was honestly toying with putting him over Beckett Senek. I think just the fact that he is so small and he does have, they're like, he's going to have to get stronger, and he will, because he does get pushed off the puck at times a little bit too easily than you'd like. But at the same time, like, he finds a way to be effective every single game. Like, they go as he goes. So also fun fact, his brother, Michael Misa, 2025 in contention for first overall, plays with Hunter Haight a lot. Fun fact. But yeah, no, I think Luke Misa is one of my favorite guys.
You have talked about him though. You've talked about Michael Misa, and I'm like,
he's insane.
Why does this guy sound so damn familiar? I know.
I think he was over a point per game last year as a triple.
I'm not saying they're related. I'm just saying like that's definitely where the name, like, there was something in my head. I'm like, you've never talked to me about Luke Misa, yet I feel like you have. I don't know why. So that makes more sense. Yeah. But speaking of guys we've talked about, this next one here, I need some explanation, pretty much. We've got a right-handed defenseman from the Ottawa 67s who's 6 feet tall. That means he's a normal human. 185 pounds, 52 games played. Just under a point a game with 10 goals, 40 assists, 50 points. He's a +2 with 48 PIMs, and you have him firmly in the second round, the tier being 33 to 45. This is a guy that at the beginning of the year, we were talking about the like way too early draft rankings, and he was in the top 10. Talk to me about Henry Muse.
Yeah, it's a combination of things. I think, first of all, so many other draft eligibles having ridiculous years and being like, oh, there's way more upside here. And the fact that, like, yes, he's right around a point. Well, actually, right around a point per game now. He's a responsible defensive defenseman as well, so there's plenty there. I just think, for me, the upside has come into question way more this year. I think you look at those points, a lot of those are kind of like second assists where he's just like passing it to someone below the dot, and then they put it back door. So I think there's some element of that. And I think the big thing is just the fact that I have so many more questions this year than I did, especially last year, in terms of like the raw upside. At the same time, he's a right-handed D-man who skates well, defends well. He can be physical, and he can chip in, at least, even if he's not like your go-to power play quarterback guy. I think he can be, he can chip in offensively. So to me, like, this year's kind of firmed up that I kind of look at him as just like a 4. Even if it's just a quiet, steady D-man, and, top end of the second round, it's still pretty good. But for me, I think that's where I landed on him. It's just, and I think a lot of it, again, like I said, I think a lot of it is the fact that there are other players who have just skyrocketed and like not shown any signs of slowing down, or just shown things they haven't shown before, and there's more consistency. But I just think the lack of confidence I have in the upside really hitting hard in terms of like what we saw from him before made me push him outside of the first round. I think that I wouldn't be shocked if he ends up still going late first, just because he does have a solid track record of how good he is, and he has been. And he logs a lot of minutes too. So still a great player. I think anyone would be happy to get him in the second draft because of all the tools he's got, plus his track record. And I mean, he's just a damn good defenseman. But in a draft full of elite high offensive or high ceiling defensemen, I think I just put him back down into the top half of the second round, or the top third of the second round, I think, actually.
There we go.
Just to give him a little more credit.
Yeah, no, got to give him a little extra pat on that. Next one, then we've got a center for the Barrie Colts, 6'2", 202 pounds. He's a decent sized boy. In 54 games played, we are just over a point a game. 25 goals, 30 assists for 55 points, +5 with 29 PIMs. You've got him firmly planted in the middle of the second round, tier being 40 to 55. What do you got to say about Cole Beaudoin?
Yeah, so this is where we get in these rankings where it's like I've seen a lot less of some of these guys. Sure. And there's no reason these guys are here, and that my tier is where it's at because of the lack of like raw upside. This is where that really comes into question. I guess.
I think this is important for people listening and people that aren't as familiar with like scouting prospects, right? Where you have him ranked, is that based on your few games of viewing, or is that more like you grabbing on to, say, guys in the industry that you trust and kind of basing it a little bit on their rankings? Is this strictly what you've seen?
I would say I've seen in terms of the guys we have left here, I've probably seen a good amount of Cole Beaudoin at this point. Okay. I think he's going to be a solid center in the NHL. Like, I think he's an outright center, which gives him value in his own right. He's a big kid that plays a really good two-way game. The reason he is in my own rankings where I have him, and I think I've seen a couple people have him sneaking into the first round. He's a big center with decent offensive upside. So you always like that. For me, I just question the upside raw offense. I think at the NHL level, he can be a reliable 3C. And for me, like, you could sneak into the first round. I wouldn't if he got taken like 30th, I'd be like, yeah, that's fine. That feels like an okay range for me. I have other guys that I'm going to go on the upside. And I think he's going to be a very reliable two-way 3C in the NHL. And again, like I said, like at this point in these rankings, the guys we have left, it's just I'm questioning the actual upside and then like the probability they hit that. But he's got some nice skill. He can be, I think he's got quiet skill, I guess. Like, he's not making a whole lot of plays that are going to, like, he's not doing like Zane Parekh, where he's going Sports Center top 10 mode. But I think like wherever he lands, once he makes to the NHL, I think he's going to be a guy that like fans love, just because he's a quiet, reliable two-way center. So he's a great player, but I just question the upside. I guess that's it.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious too, and maybe there's not an easy answer to this, but where do you make the shift throughout the draft process, right? And I'm sure there's tiers, whatever, but generally speaking, when do you make a shift between, hey, I'm looking for floor versus ceiling, right? Like, are you looking for upside, or are you looking for safe pick? Like, where do you make the pivot, and which one are you kind of targeting earlier than the other? Like the higher upside, or the like guaranteed, yep, this guy's a no shit NHLer, but maybe he's not a first liner?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the balance, I mean, this is, again, just me. You could probably ask.
I'm asking
15.
you. Yeah.
No, I know. Yeah. For me, like, I have to balance, all right, what's the ceiling versus the floor? If your floor is like, I won't play in the NHL if I don't hit, your upside better be like best player in the draft potential. Like, in order for me to take you in like the first round.
Yeah.
For Cole Beaudoin, I'm very confident he has a high floor. Like, I don't think when he makes the NHL, I don't think you're going to have a problem with him stay. Like, he'll play a whole lot of games. Mm-hmm. And I think like he could be a guy on a Stanley Cup winning team, like, is a solid 3C. Again, not going to do anything that's like jumping off the page. Maybe he's not like all over the highlight reel, but like when you need him to make a play, he's going to be that guy. So I like Cole Baldwin a lot, and he does flash. Like there are flashes of like upside there. It's just not consistent enough for me to say, yeah, he'll do that.
At Cole Baldwin either. That was more just like because you were starting to talk about
exactly
between ceiling versus floor. I was just more genuinely curious, and I think it's interesting too for a lot of the listeners to understand.
Yeah, and I know like in with smart scouting, like they love the upside, like which makes for like a way more fun when we do our like meetings for like early season, mid-year, final, like our like whatever conference that we do, our video. It's so fun. We actually have one coming up in a week or two.
I love it. The idea though of them just being like, yeah, dude, if this guy hits a ceiling, this is what happens. And you're like, what if he doesn't hit his ceiling? They're like, well, no, we don't fucking talk about that. Like,
yeah,
that's like an option.
Which is why our rankings are significant. We had Jaden Perron top 15, I think, last year. He went in the fourth round. So
he was that.
By the way, yeah, he is torching college hockey, dude.
He's kind of okay at the hockey.
He is so nasty. But yeah, we love him.
Do you think with him going that late, like, is he in the discussion with Riley Heidt for like biggest draft steal?
I'm
not asking if he's going to win it. I'm asking if it's like a similar.
Oh yeah.
Discussion.
Yeah, he'll be in that chat.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. He's so fucking good. Yeah.
No shit. All right, number 8 on the list, we have a right-handed defenseman playing for the Oshawa Generals. 6 foot even, 176 pounds, and in 54 games played, he has 1 goal, 30 assists for 31 points. The 1 is so much funnier than a 0, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
A plus 12, 21 PIMs. Later part of the second round, firmly second round, being in the tier of 50 to 60. We've got Ben Danford.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of the maybe few guys as far as like after Cole in my rankings here, Cole Baldwin beyond. I feel like this is one of the guys that I have picked that's like a fair consensus. The thing with Danforth is he's got good size. He's a phenomenal skater. He does the simple things really well. So again, I kind of talked about Cole Baldwin being a guy that you're never going to complain about. Ben Danford just is that exact guy. That being said, I've seen players that I would have said that about last year as defensemen. They went higher than I would have taken them. Like I looked at, the Swedish kid. Oh my God, it's going to drive me. Theo Lindstein. He went in the first round. I did not have him in the first round, but I was like, yep, you're never going to complain about that guy. So anyways, smooth skater, makes a phenomenal first pass, defends really well. Again, for me, probably a firm, easy 4 in terms of just like your D-man lineup. But he just doesn't make any highlight reel plays. He's not going to be like quarterbacking your power play, but there's some he's not offensively inept, which makes him an intriguing, decently sized right-handed D-man. The fact that he's a right shot D also is going to always help. It helps. It's very weird. It's also very funny. Teams we love a good right shot D man, you know?
Yeah, dude, am I like the worst parent in the world if my kid starts playing hockey and I don't like force him to play right-handed?
You have to be right. Get that fucking stick. Switch your fucking hands. Switch your fucking hands. But yeah, I think my buddies over at EP Elite Prospects, I think they have him in their first round. He might be like their 32nd off the top of my head, but which goes to show like he has plenty of tools in terms of the skating, like how smart he's a very, very smart defenseman as well. And the fact that he does have those baseline tools makes you think like he has some. Again, he's not offensively inept. That's the big thing. It's just on Oshawa as well. Like he's not leaned on heavily in that role, and they're not like torching teams every night. Like it's not like a Sam Dickinson situation where he's like, I go on the ice and there's a good chance I have a point. It's very different environment for him. Really like the tools. I think if anyone wants to take him early in the second round, you'll look very smart as well, because I think he's going to play a long time in the league, and I like pretty much everything he does. Like he's one of the guys I don't really have anything bad to say about him. I just question the upside. So that's Ben Denford.
Okay. Next up, I've revoked my previous comment. I think Beckett Seneke is playing.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna go here.
My number 2 all-name contender from the OHL. We've got a center from Guelph Storm at 5'10", 165 pounds, which I'm guessing we got a similar debacle here where he should be in the first round, but he's a midget. So in 56 games played, just over a point a game with 20 goals, 41 assists, a -10 with 32 PIMs, right at the end of the second, early third in tier 55 to 65. We got a beauty by the name of Jet Luchenko.
Phenomenal. Damn, I was surprised when you said
top fiver. To be honest, I didn't scroll far enough. I think I might have scrolled through Ben Danford, and I saw Ben Danford. I'm like, I don't need to fucking scroll any further.
I don't need to see the rest of these.
It's like in Key and Peele when they do the All-American Bowl, and then at the very end, it's like Brad Smith, and it's the white guy from BYU. It's like, I don't need to go further. We've seen what we need to see. No, Jet Luchenko, what a name. Let's talk about Jet Luchenko, the player, because I already want him on the Penguins of the Wild so bad.
Yeah, another guy that definitely falls victim of being 5'10", 165, but also the playing environment. So like Guelph, they went not necessarily all in, but they also moved a whole lot of pieces last couple of years. But he is a nonstop motor, skates real well. He's fat. You'll be shocked. I feel like a guy named Jet Luchenko, like I bet he's fast as shit. Fucking he flies out there. He's got high end skill. The thing with him is it's very easy, and he's gotta get stronger, but offensive upside very high, very, very high. Super high end skill. He can score goals himself, obviously. Elite playmaker. But this is one player in particular that the size is going to be a detriment for him. I think it will take a lot for him to like hit top 6 potential. I still think he can be and also I don't think he's going to be a center at the NHL level. Sure. But the offensive upside is there. He's such an intriguing player, and he can be a little fucking prick on the ice too. He loves doing like, Marco Rossi will be like, yeah, I'm bored. Let's just like kind of stir the fucking Hornets. Let's rattle the Hornets nest here. And he'll do that shit. It's very funny. But love the offensive upside. I think he's going to be able to put up some like decent points in the NHL. It's just the fact that he is 5'10", 165. He's got to get way stronger to be effective. But I think he can be a middle 6 scoring option. Just the fact that, again, he can score goals himself, but like he is a legit playmaker. He's such a fun OHL player, which is like the risk where you have to like balance that out.
Totally.
But I still feel like he's an easy tail end of or mid to late second round guy, probably. Which is why I put him where I did. But I really like watching him play. He's very fun. He is fucking annoying as shit to play against.
Yeah, I want him so bad.
You have not fucking real.
He's my guy. He's
I like
of mine. I've stamped it.
Yeah.
Luchenko is one of my draft sons. This is good because usually like 1 or 2 of my draft sons are just because you've convinced me so hard. Like, dude, last year you had me so. I wish you hadn't got me so excited about Zach Benson because it broke my heart when he was taken one spot before. But like he felt like my draft son, even though that was purely from your propaganda. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be right. The kid's an absolute stud. But like, this is one that just based on that explanation, the name obviously helps, but I'm not going to pick a draft son off of name. Like, he is exactly what I'm looking for in my first stamped, approved draft son, Jet Luchenko. Welcome, my friend.
Love that.
Oh, and then we get to number 10 on the list before a brief rundown of the honorable mentions. We have a left-handed defenseman playing for Ooh, Sarnia Singh. Never heard of them. The Sarnia Singh. Coming in at 6'4", 181 pounds. That feels a little light for 6'4", but 57 games played, 5 goals, 25 assists for 30 points. We got a dash 16 with 62 PIMs, right in that late second, early third tier, being 60 to 70 for Z. We have Mr. Lucas Fisher.
Yeah. First off, Sarnia absolutely stinks. So that puts a big dent into
dash.
Yeah, that explains some of the dash. I think on a good team, he'd probably be up closer to like Henry Muse numbers in terms of like offensive production. He is a fucking massive left shot D-man who skates really fucking well. He defensively sound. And the thing with him is he is a fucking asshole to play against. I think actually last game I was watching, which was like, it was Sunday, they were getting the shit kicked out of him. And he broke the puck out himself. Again, great skater for his size. Created some offensive scoring chances and was like, say the blue line, and someone missed like a backdoor tap in. And his reaction was like, fuck this, finds Kitchener's biggest fucking player and goes, hey, we're fucking going. And just started fucking landing bombs. I was like, I like this guy. But I think he's gonna, and just given the fact that he's 6'4", he is a little bit slight, but God, he's fucking strong. And again, he's mean as shit. I think he'll probably go middle of the second round just because he does have so many tools in terms of size, the skating ability, the defensive app. Like, not a problem defensively. He can kill penalties. Like, he could probably give you some offensive production, but I think there's enough upside there that he'll go higher than where I have him. I would like to see a little bit more consistency for me to put him firmly like in the middle of the second round. But definitely an intriguing one for sure. I think he's going to go higher than my tier, just given the size and his he also, like, we talked about Matt Rempe picking spots. Lucas Fisher does that pretty well, where he will absolutely go and be like, all right, we need a fucking boost here. Unfortunately, Sarnia needs boosts almost every game. So we can't necessarily do that as often. But he's a very, very intriguing prospect for this draft class. Just like, again, very deep defensive draft class. So he kind of falls the ranks a little bit. I think there's probably some people. I know the NHL scouts have him probably early to mid second. But even like some like of my buddies who lean more on the upside, like they like him a lot just because he does have those foundational tools paired with the fact that he's 6'4". So very intriguing one for sure. I couldn't keep him out of my top 10. I would just like to see, again, it's just the fact he plays for Sarnia. I see it so infrequently just because of how, I mean, like, they're bad this year. They weren't like elite last year, but yeah, it's very intriguing. I think like he needs some time to marinate in like junior hockey, AHL, but when he hits the NHL, I think he's going to be a really reliable defensive defenseman. So I love Lucas Fisher. He's very fun especially when he's like, all right, let's fucking go. I'm done with this bullshit. Let's fucking give the boys boost here. For
the boys. All right, that brings us to our honorable mentions, which we've got
only a few.
Well, yeah, but we've got 3.5 in here that are like true mafiosa Italians.
Yeah, I know.
I'll do my best as I read through these to kind of hit those properly. Your honorable mentions, and I'll let you kind of go wherever you want with each of these, but full list. We have Sam O'Reilly. We have Carter George, Merrick Vanacker, Anthony Romani, Anthony Cristoforo, which, I mean, Anthony is just like an Italian name, apparently, I've decided. Here's the halfer. Jacob Battaglia. I don't know if that's Italian or not. Then we've got Christopher, I don't know if it's Thibodeau or Thibodeau. It could go either way. And then the most Italian, Luca Marelli.
Yeah. If only you hadn't hyped that one up at all. Yeah, only a couple of guys here. I think first off, I had to put in terms of like the honorable mentions, Carter George. He's one of probably the first goalies that'll go in this draft, and there are a couple that will go probably like second, third round. He's got again long track record in the OHL. He's put up decent enough numbers, and just like again, not a goaltending scout per se, but I think he will go. I guess he goes in the second round. I know plenty of people who do actually scout goaltenders. They like him a lot. They think there's some upside there. The one guy I had to battle keeping out of my top 10 was Sam O'Reilly. He plays for the London Knights. He's put up some decent offensive numbers this year. He's a bit undersized, but he can play center. He plays wing. He's got offensive upside. I think he's right around a point per game for them, but he plays a really good two-way game as well. And he is mean. He's physical despite his size. So really, really like Sam O'Reilly as well. Again, I really wanted to find a spot in the top 10 for him, but I just couldn't get there. Wouldn't be shocked by the end of this season if I did have him in my top 10 OHL guys. But definitely one to keep their eye on. I think that's a third round guy, probably. That again, I think there's enough upside that like he could make you look silly for taking him that late.
Well, no, make
and
you
then the other
for taking him that late, make everyone else look silly.
Right. Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry. The one that I'm very, very curious to see where he ends up going is Anthony Cristoforo. He is such a fun player. Like he's a right shot D-man. Unfortunately, 5'11". Incredible skater. He plays at an unbelievable pace. I know some people that want to put him in their first round. I can't get there myself. But like in terms of just raw tools and upside, he is so intriguing to me because he plays so quick. He's such a fucking good skater, loves to be physical. Defensive game's a work in progress, but that's okay. I think there's enough of an upside there, even though I kept him out of my top 10. I think he's a very, very intriguing defenseman. I think you can work with him. So that was one I was battling again. I was like, could I put him in the top 10? I just like couldn't get myself to do it. But he's definitely one to watch. But yeah, the OHL is just again, the past couple of years, and like I mean, it's gonna happen again next year. The WHL is just, I mean, reigning supreme. So I have a whole lot less on so many of these guys, but I at least wanted to bring those couple honorable mentions up. But yeah, I am Anthony Christopher. I'm very curious to see where he ends up going because like the base layer of tools is so intriguing. Like he's such a fucking good skater. And he's very fun to watch when he's on his game. So we'll see.
Reasonable. All right. Well, that's a wrap then for the OHL. Two quick things that are worth discussing. One to kind of pair off of the Tanev conversation and one from the comments. Apparently the trade details have been finalized. We have, let's see, it is a second round pick, conditional third round pick, and something called Artem Khusnutdinov.
Khusnutdinov, yeah.
And apparently Calgary retained 50%. So yeah. Interesting move, but talk about Artem Khusnutdinov because that's just not a guy that I'm familiar with, and I want to know if he's relevant in this trade.
Yeah, he's a second rounder, I think in 2021, I believe. Yeah, I think so. I think he's got some serious upside because he does skate really well. He's defensively solid for Dallas. So like, and this is the sweet spot too. You hit in these trades when you're trading prospects. Like, I just don't think I think they've got plenty of guys ready to go that have higher upside that can kind of like match some of his like strengths as well. So like, you're okay with parting ways with a prospect like Khusnutdinov, but I think Calgary is going to like the fact that they can pick him up because there is upside there. I think he's playing the OHL at this point. Yeah, he should be. Oh, no, he only got one game this year for Texas. That's interesting. No, that's not. I was looking at last year's stats. Okay, that looks right now. Now that threw me. I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck? He was in the OHL. But yeah,
looking at this, like the CAT scan, and like, oh my god, I think you have. Oh wait, no, that's from Jelly Donut. Shit.
Yeah. But yeah, I like Rizhikov a lot. Again, I think he's a right-handed D-man. We love right-handed D-men. Decent enough size. He can use his he is solid defensively. He uses his body well. He's a good skater, and he's not like an offensive black hole. So I think that's a reasonable pickup for, especially when you look at like Chris is 35 years old, and you pair that with like 2 other picks as well. That's a nice pickup for Calgary. And when you're Dallas, you're not really like, it's not like it's a make or break prospect that you're dealing. So I think that's a reasonable pickup. So I think it's fair overall.
Nice. All right. Well, then last one here, unless there's anything else that you've come up with. We got a question that I think is funny because your answer is going to be so much different than the majority. But Cole Michael, who has been tuning into us for a while here, question for the end of the show. Z, what would you say would be a good way to get into the scouting industry? Any advice?
Ooh. I mean, in terms of just getting in, I don't really know if there's one way to do it that's better than the others. For me personally, the way I started was just watching every single league I possibly could, finding every outlet that I agreed, like usually would like their takes and like agreed with their assessments versus the ones that I hated. And I would read every fucking word. And then whatever level of hockey is close to you, I like going to those games. And the thing is, you have to like be okay with just like talking to people when you're at those games as well. And like, it's crazy how much of it does come down to networking and just like meeting the right people, because I think the bottom line with scouting is just having the open mind and taking in every opinion you possibly can. There were so many guys I would talk to, but like, I don't fucking agree with anything that you are saying about hockey, but like, it's valuable information. So I would say taking in all the information you possibly can. It depends what you mean by getting into the scouting industry, because if it's like people following your page, like, I mean, I was just tweeting out fucking videos, and like, even if it was a player that maybe would never get drafted, if they made like a solid play and I knew there was some kind of conversation around them at some point, I'd be like, oh, look at this, this is cool. And eventually, like, when they get drafted, it's funny. People just like find those videos.
Totally. And I think though, your point before though, of watching as much hockey as you can, again, the content's important. Like getting shit out there on Twitter, like Z said, worked for him, is great. But you also don't want to be the person that's just like making up nonsense and trying to come up with something to say about a player. Like, have convictions about that player. You see every year Z has his like draft sons, the guys that he's really locked in on. Tell you what, people aren't going to agree with his draft rankings for them every year, but he's got conviction. He's got like actual evidence to back up why he's saying what he's saying. And that's what's going to shine through in the end. Like, just having real conviction on things that you can see and point to in what you're watching on the ice, that goes a long way. Versus people like me who just throw shit at the wall and they're like, ha, look at this. This is funny. Here's a funny movie quote.
Yeah, I think too, like, it's in like actually one of my buddies, Pete Blackburn, he did this with the NHL. When he was in college, he started his own, like, I don't know if it was like a website or like a blog or whatever. He knew he had 0 people looking at it, but he would write. Like, he just wrote like full on articles just to himself for like, and he always said it was the best practice of all time. Where he's like, I didn't care that no one was looking at it, but like, you can watch hockey and be like, yeah, I love hockey. Like, I know hockey, whatever. Okay, go write like a full article about whatever. So once you get to the point where like you've watched enough of these prospects, like, yeah, I could put up a fucking scouting report right now. Like, if you get 3 sentences in, you're like,
don't know.
Then it's like, okay, maybe I should go watch the tape. The big thing too with the prospects is like, don't watch like goals and assists. Like, You need every shift. So like
totally.
you have to be able to sit down and just like watch their full game, watch it back, and stay away from just like the goals and assists and stuff like that. But that's really it. I don't know. Everyone has their own way of doing it, but when I first started several years ago, it was just like taking in every form of hockey I possibly could, whether like it was video or going, even if it was just like, at one point I was going to the Foxborough League, the summer like prep school hockey, summer hockey, like their summer league. I don't know. And I was just going there, and there was like 50 scouts there just watching, and all of these like ranging from people who just like have their own little blog that has like 12 followers to like USA scouts. I was just like, this is fascinating. So it's funny. Like it comes down to watch as much hockey as you fucking can. Like it's very fun. Like that's the thing. And if you love it, then you'll just naturally figure it out.
But important to that too, Z. When did you really like start? Like, I don't care when people started to pay attention. When did you actually start like sifting through the tape, watching full games of a guy versus goals and assists? Like, how long ago was that roughly?
In terms of like full investment, probably only probably 5 years ago. Did I think about it? COVID really fucked up my like mental clock where I was like, how long ago was that, dude?
Yeah. It was 2 BC before COVID.
I think it's about probably last 5 years. It's funny too when I go back and find like shit that I saved from like 5 years ago. It's just like, why did I fucking give a shit about that? That's the one thing too, is you can't.
Cousins was
you
a
have to.
player.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what a fucking loser. That's the other thing too. You can't be like, when you first start, you can't just like be firm on like, I like guys that do this. And it's like, okay. Eventually you're like, all right, well, what guys in the NHL did the same thing? Did they have anything else? Or how many guys played junior hockey, prep school hockey, college hockey that like did that, but it just never translated? And you're like, all right, well, why did that happen? And like, oh, whether they were like, oh, they had really good line mates, or the like, oh, they had nothing else going for them in their game. I don't know. Over time, you figure out like, and actually, you never figure it out. Like we all look like idiots in the end. That's the thing too. You can't have any pride. It's just like, yeah, I like that. I like this guy, and you have your reasons, but it changes over time, and you have to be okay with like changing how you look at it, which makes it way more fun.
Yeah,
so being wrong is way more fun, actually, to be honest with you. It's just like,
being wrong.
Why did I think that?
Not having an opinion.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't know. Either way, it's just, I so much prefer watching like the draft eligibles and then tracking them versus like the NHL. It's so much more fun. Like just tracking the journey and tracking the path. Like it's just way more rewarding in the end too, especially when they make it. Like I said, to wrap this up, like Duane was the first guy that I watched like for a couple of years. I was like, I think he has a little, like there should be something there that he's going to make himself a useful NHL player. When he finally made it, it was really fucking cool. So, but yeah.
Fair enough. Well, that's a wrap, everyone. Again, the Sota Pod does have a new show. Second episode just dropped today as we record this and live stream this on Wednesday. If you're listening on podcast on Friday, go back to the Wednesday episode of the Sota Pod labeled Fellowship of the Rinks, where Joe Smith of The Athletic comes in, gives you all the insider info on the Wild, the Gophers, and of course, bringing you interviews every week. This week is Jimmy Snuggerud, Hobie Baker nominee for your Minnesota Golden Gophers. Isha will drop that clip right here.
Oh.
But appreciate you all tuning in to that show, this show, MNCAA, anything on the Sota Pod channel. Z, take it away.
YouTube channel, Riley Height goal video just dropped. Ooh. I will be doing it early as well, but it's gonna be not up to date by the time this airs. I think he's playing tonight, so he's probably gonna have fucking 3 more goals. But go check it out. He is fucking unbelievable. It's a joke, dude. He's so good. So check it out.
Yes. And everyone, throw comments, whether it's on this video or any of our YouTube videos. I check them all. Let us know who you want to see highlight reels from in the Minnesota Wild prospect pool. Any of JuddzBudz, let us know. We would love to know what direction you want us to take it. But obviously, next up is Who's Nuts, D's Nuts, Piss Missile. Z's bringing you Marat Khusnutdinov.
Boom.
Boom, boom, boom. But appreciate all of you. Thanks again. I'll let Z shut her down here.
I got nothing left. I gotta really break the seal here, so that's how I'm gonna end this episode. But stay tuned. Stay tuned.
You sprint to piss. I kind of want to drag this out a little bit longer.
Fuck off, dude. If you do, I will die.
Oh, all right.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel, like fucking videos, and if you like to come back next week, I don't know.
That was so great. Later.